face it, everybody wants to look jacked. You know, even yourself, when we were talking recently, you mentioned that even though you are into full-fledged powerlifting mode right now, you can't wait to do some more bodybuilding.
Absolutely,
work,
right?
yes. Most of us who got started training, at one point we wanted to look good, so we wanted bigger muscles. That's kind of got how we got started, and then strength became more important.
Reading Flex magazines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course. I won't admit it, but let's say that I might have had like all the Flex posters in my bedroom when I was a kid. I'm not saying it's true, but it might have happened. Anyway, so that begs a question. Do you think that people who are focused on competing in bodybuilding, in powerlifting, do you think that it would be a worthwhile addition, like once or twice a year, to have a phase focused mostly on bodybuilding kind of training? Either to increase muscle mass, doing more isolation work, less focus on heavy lifting?
I do, for many reasons. Actually, that makes me think of a quote I heard Ed Cohn say, Ed Cohn being the GOAT, greatest of all time in powerlifting. I don't remember where it was on. I think it was on the Powercast, a Mark Bell Powercast, but he said something along the lines of, in his yearly training, he spent a third of the year working on bodybuilding. And he said his only regret of his whole lifting career is that he should have spent more time in the year working on bodybuilding and working on building the muscles and probably saving the joints. And that's one thing, if you're lifting heavy all year long, and it's very taxing on your central nervous system, but it's very taxing on your joints as well. One thing to remember, it's your muscles move weight. Not only your central nervous system, but your muscles move weight. So you should spend a lot of time in that year to build the muscle. I'm definitely stronger now than I was 5 years ago, but I'm also much bigger now than I was 5 years ago. Because I spend a lot of time, longer beard, that actually plays a big role in it.
On a bench press.
Yeah, exactly. You can rest the bar.
There you go.
You know, having more muscle means more potentiation for strength gains, right? I think a lot of people always want to lift heavy and lift heavy. You should take some time off in the year, get away from not necessarily the big movements, although you should sometimes, but you can still squat, but maybe change the way you squat instead of low barring it, because that can be very taxing on your elbows if you're benching as well. Then playing with the high bar squats or front squats, Zercher squats, playing with the different variations.
Higher reps. Like
higher reps, exactly. Get some blood flowing in the muscles, get some blood flowing in the joints, recover from all that high intensity training that you did, take the taxation away from your joints a little bit, and yeah, just spend more time building muscle.
Now, I think that a big problem is that a lot of people got into bodybuilding training and they didn't get like that much out of it at first, all right? Then they switched to powerlifting and they can actually see fairly rapid strength gains because the nervous system progress pretty fast. I mean, in 6 weeks, you can have pretty good strength gains if you know what you're doing. But building muscle mass takes time and people are impatient. So let's say that I'm a young kid, 18, 20 years old. I start training mostly bodybuilding. I'm doing bodybuilding for 3 months. I might gain like 5 pounds, which is actually pretty good for 3 months of training. But they figure, oh, I'm not jacked yet, so this shit doesn't work. So now they start powerlifting and their bench press goes from 225 to 285. Man, I'm getting super strong. That powerlifting is the way to go. So they become addicted to neural gains. But the problem is that the analogy I always use is that the size of your muscle really is like the size of a factory, the number of employees you have. So if you have a bigger factory with more employees, then the production capacity is much higher. Doesn't mean that you're going to produce more, because if the employees are lazy, if the employees don't work together, then you don't produce as much. But if you have a very efficient boss, then you can take advantage of that biggest factory. So working on like strength work is improving the quality of the foreman, of the boss. Whereas bodybuilding increases the size of your factory, so you need both to reach a high level. So I think that's something that's somewhat important. And really, I think that, would you agree that now that raw powerlifting is making a comeback? I mean, it used to be very rare that people competing in raw powerlifting. Everybody was doing equipped powerlifting. Now it's pretty much the opposite, right? I would think, I'm not an expert in powerlifting, but that having more muscle mass would be even more important for raw powerlifting than equipped powerlifting.
Absolutely. You have no gear to support you. What supports you is your musculature. you need that muscle to support you so your joints don't snap under heavy load.
So when you like more of a like equipped powerlifter, all you need to do is build the muscles that are directly moving the weight. Whereas if you're a raw powerlifter,
or stabilizing the joint. Yeah.
But then again, the stabilization is done partly with the suit, for example. Whereas a raw lifter,
in a gear,
a raw lifter, that now you don't just need the prime movers. You need all that supporting musculature.
Yes.
Basically, you do need overall body weight.
No, I thought you meant the opposite. That's exactly right. Yeah, well, for sure. You know, stabilizing the shoulder blades, you need upper back meat. You need some meat up there to keep the shoulders back while you're lifting. Geared lifting, I don't want to say you don't need upper back muscle, but you need more tricep strength to finish the lockout of the movement because the shirt holds your shoulders back in position. So I agree 100%. And just to kind of, you know, a lot of raw powerlifting templates now, if you look around, if you do your research online, most of them actually prioritize bodybuilding training after your main movements, your prime movers.
So you would do the big lift heavy, then you would do more bodybuilding work to build everything else afterwards.
Oh yeah. If you look at, there's so many templates out there. If you look at the Cube from Brandon Lilly, there's so many, like he has you doing lat pull downs or pull ups every single every single training session. Face pulls, curls, tricep work with high volume, like 20 reps with the bands and just getting a ton of blood in there to get the muscle to grow. And actually, even West Side actually, you start with the heavy prime movers, and then you do a ton of volume to lubricate the joints and put some muscle.
He sets up 50 reps sometimes.
Yeah, tricep push downs every single training session. So absolutely, I think, so that's within the training template. But to answer your question, you're right. I think most powerlifters, beginner to intermediate especially, should spend more time in the year focusing more on building muscle mass than strength gains.
Yeah, and one difference I think though is that I think that both type of lifters do need a phase where they move away from powerlifting. The beginners and intermediate, because they do need that muscle mass that they don't yet have. The more advanced lifter, just for mental relief. When you're bench pressing 600, your joints are going to take a beating. So there's some phases in the year where you do need to take it easier. Now, I think the main difference would be that a beginner intermediate, even during a bodybuilding phase, they should still keep the competition lift in the program. Not super heavy, but still keep practicing them. Whereas the advanced lifter can actually completely move away and come back, because they have, a good friend of mine, Eric Letourneau, that you might know, he owns Nutrition Fitness in Quebec. The guy he had the squat record in Quebec, squatted over 800 pounds, and he told me that he would only train for powerlifting 3 months out of the competition. The rest of the year was mostly bodybuilding work. He wouldn't even squat. And the guy squatted over 800. So he didn't. Now he's like 200 years old and he still lifts pretty heavy. And
that's really impressive. Yeah, 800 squat training for powerlifting 3 months out of the year is insane.
Well, for a competitor, so if he does 2 shows, then he might do 6 months of powerlifting.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. But just for mental relief, he was a good natural squatter. Didn't need to practice the squat that often. But for a beginner, they should not move away from the actual competition lift. Not push them as hard, but they still need to be in the program even when they're doing bodybuilding. Anyway, we both agree that if you want to build a strong muscle mass foundation, you do need the deadlift, you do need the squat, and you do need the bench press. Ideally, not everybody can do them properly, but ideally they should be somewhere in the program, at least variation of them.